Hello, gore whores. Welcome to episode 27 of the Gory Hole podcast. We have a different kind of episode for you guys today. We did mention on a previous episode that we were guests on Sledgehammer Horror for a segment that they have called My First Horror Movie. And today's episode is the audio from that segment. Sledgehammer Horror is a great YouTube page for all fans of horror. They do a lot of reviewing, ranking, interviews, and just all kinds of horror content. So be sure you go to their YouTube page. It's at Sledgehammer Horror. Hit that subscribe button. You won't be disappointed if you are a horror movie fan. Absolute great content. And they were absolutely a joy to work with. So be sure to go check them out. We will be back next week with our regular content. And until then, stay warm, stay safe, stay gory, and enjoy today's episode of My First Horror Movie presented by Sledgehammer Horror. Here it is.
Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Now, today I am joined by the beautiful team of Jenny and Nikki of the Gory Hole podcast. How are you doing today, ladies?
Hi, how are you? We're good.
I am a lot better now, and that is not the third time I've had to ask them that. I just want everybody to be perfectly clear. That's the first time I've ever asked them how they're doing. Now, I'm very excited to have you guys here to talk horror with me. But before we talk about why you're here, I would like for the people that don't know you to get to know you a little bit. Bam. Told you I'd nail it.
Nailed it.
They are longtime friends. Jenny and Nikki are huge podcast fans. And after spending so much time talking about how much they love them and thinking it would be just a fun idea to do, they decided, you know what? Let's just get in there. Let's do it. So with the help of Nikki's husband, Todd, they decided to make the Gory Hole podcast, where they talk about everything gross, gory, and my favorite, immature. So, you guys talked about how, you've been podcast fans for a long time, and, you decided this is something that we should do together. We're great friends. This is something we've always had an eye on. What gave you the idea of the Gory Hole podcast to make that be your central theme of the podcast?
Well, we tend to talk about gross stuff. Yeah. Those are just kind of, she works in human med, I work in vet med. We love talking about gross stuff. So Todd actually came up with the name. Mm-hmm. One day we were just out having beers at a brewery and he said it and we were like, oh, we have to do it. Yeah.
Yes. I will say it's a very catchy title.
The people do get a little confused though. They're like, Glory Hole? Yeah. I can't find you. It's like, no. Glory Hole.
No.
Words.
Yeah.
We're dirtier than the Glory Hole.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Think Glory Hole, only worse.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I love about that is and again, I would never try to put a label on anything, but to hear two women that are so open about the immaturity and the gore, I think that's amazing because Ashley, my wife, she's been a respiratory therapist for years. So, she also does a lot of stuff with intubation and stuff like that. So, we'll try to talk and I'm like, okay, yeah, let's not talk about your night. That's fine. You can keep that to yourself. So I love the fact that you guys take that and you really embrace it. And the best thing about it is your raunchy humor. It's developed a cult following and you've been working on collaborations with other horror lovers, horror creators. And what I think is so special about the horror community is how open and willing everybody is to collaborate and root for each other. And that's really all we want. We want everybody in the community to succeed. Because your success is my success. We want the horror community to branch out and become something that everybody loves, not just in October. So I do in the description have all the links to the podcast on whatever streaming platform you use for podcasting, as well as I have all the social media links for these beautiful ladies. So please make sure you are checking that out, following them, subscribing to the podcast. So I know we talked about how it's, a little bit gross, gory, immature. Again, my favorite. But can you give a little bit of an example of like what a basic episode entails for you guys?
Yeah. Well, we typically follow the same kind of format for each episode where we take turns surprising each other with a topic. So that topic has been, again, it's usually gross, gory, or immature. So we've done like an unsolved cold case. We've done body farms. We've done, I don't know what else, medieval torture devices.
Yes, medieval torture devices. We did a Bob Berdella episode. Yeah. We did an alien episode.
Just anything weird. Yeah. So we will surprise each other, switch off surprising each other with topics. And then we'll cover anything gross or weird in the news. Like some lady had diarrhea on a plane that had to be rerouted. Yeah. And it was like a hazmat scene. We talked about that. We talked about bidets and poop knives and
Yeah.
anything that like things that we laugh about, we just kind of have. I've noticed that lately when I talk to Jenny, I don't really talk to her until we're recording because I want to save it all for the podcast. So we just honestly kind of have like a conversation. We do sometimes do trivia and things like that too.
Yeah.
I got to take a quick time out.
Yeah.
I got to do a quick rewind. Did I hear poop knives?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
What in the blue hell is a poop knife? Now my curiosity is piqued.
Oh,
the whole
man.
time you were talking just now, I was like,
oh,
did
man.
you say poop knife?
Yeah.
Yep. We did.
We had a poop knife central episode.
We did. And we just learned what these were not that long ago. I think we were talking about bidets and it came up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's luckily something we don't need, but a lot of people apparently do.
It's a thing. It's a thing. And I was going to look up the episode and tell you, but I don't want to stare at my phone all day. But
well, here's what we'll do.
Talk about it.
I have that episode. If you guys are as interested as I am about the poop knives, I have that episode now down in the description. On top, you can subscribe to the whole podcast, or you can go listen to the poop knife episode and subscribe right from that episode. So I'm because I'm going to be listening to that while I'm editing this episode. So I cannot wait.
We read Amazon reviews of poop knives on that episode, and it was crazy.
It's wild.
And then I just picture the woman with diarrhea on the plane, and some guy like, that motherfucker back there is definitely real. Land the plane now. Yes. This is gnarly.
Yeah, there's a whole news article about it. It's
yeah, nothing is off limits.
Nothing
in the podcast.
Nothing.
Man, what a shitty plane ride. So, and like I said, what I love about this is how open you guys are to doing this, and the fact that Nikki, your husband Todd was just like, you know what, poop knives, gory hole, get in there, babe.
Yeah, and he now I won't lie, he'll sit over here. He does our editing and stuff, and he'll squirm around a little bit. Yeah. He doesn't really like to hear it. So he will often kind of
he'll be wriggling.
He'll wriggle around. And he's kind of like you when it comes to your wife talking about, secretions and things. And my husband prefers not to hear about that. So he gets a little wiggled out, but
well, Todd, good on you. Love you, mate. I am the same way. She's like, so we were pulling this tube out, and I was like, stop.
Yeah. Yeah, done.
Whether it's human med or animal med, good job. Seriously, you guys are seriously superheroes. I know that a lot of times it is a thankless job, and what you guys do is underappreciated, undervalued, and extremely underpaid. So thank you. I mean, even if you're like you said, whether it's animal or human, you're saving someone's family member. You're working on someone's family member. So at the end of the day, that's what a superhero is. So thank you guys for the hard work that you do.
Oh, thank you.
I'm very proud to be married to my superhero. So it's amazing to meet other people that are in those fields, because like I said, I have to watch my wife and the countless amount of people that she's lost while they were trying to save, and she has to just suck that up and go to the next room and do it again. And the amount of integrity and strength that you guys have that goes unnoticed by a lot of people does not go unnoticed in the Sledge House. So thank you guys for the work that you do. Like I said, somebody gets to hold their family member, whether it's on their lap petting them or next to them with their arm around them, because of the work you guys do. So thank you very much. Of all the immature and gory things, which I love, the superhero stuff I love even more. So thank you guys for the hard work you do for the families around you. So, okay, now that we got that out of the way, we talk often about, you guys do a horror podcast. You talk about gory and bloody, and I don't think that you would be doing that unless you started somewhere in the horror genre. So now, ladies, I would like to go back to the past and talk about what got you started in the horror genre, your first horror movie. And I'll start with you first this time, Jenny. Your first horror movie was?
House on Haunted Hill, the 1950 Vincent Price version of House on Haunted Hill.
And I just rewatched that today because it was impossible to find a certain scene for me. But, Vincent Price is just one of those guys, whether it's, House of Wax, House on Haunted Hill, whenever Vincent Price is in something, and just the facial expressions and almost what would be considered overacting today is just amazing. You could tell that he's a theater actor. He brings that presence to the screen with him. So it was really a joy to go back and rewatch this movie today. So we'll talk more about this movie, which, by the way, has the dopest movie cover art / poster of all time.
It does.
I love the cover art to this film. It is just absolutely magnificent. So, Jenny, we know that horror started with you with House on Haunted Hill. Now, Nikki, I got to know, what was your first horror movie?
My first horror movie was Child's Play, the original Child's Play. And I don't remember exactly when that came out. 89, something like
88.
that. 88. So I was
close.
I was 3.
Yeah.
And I probably watched it when I was 5, something. I mean, I was a little kid and had no business watching it, but I watched it. And I remember it rocking my world. I mean, just and I think, that's no cinematic masterpiece or anything, but it scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Right.
And I think the biggest thing was seeing that an adult, so the kid's mom in the movie, when she was so horrified, and the actor was pretty good at, screaming and hiding behind a door. And I saw that an adult could be that scared. And that's what floored me.
Right. Well, and I will always talk up Child's Play, because everybody that knows me knows, while it's not my favorite movie, the Child's Play franchise is my absolute favorite horror franchise,
Really?
bar none. So, absolutely. I think that every horror franchise has its peaks and valleys. And for me, Child's Play is all peaks with a little mini valley, I guess, in Seed of Chucky. But that movie still has a lot of redeemable qualities to it. I think that the kills in that movie are absolutely fantastic. Jennifer Tilly is just a goddess in that film.
I
She
love
steals
her.
the show.
Yes.
The only thing I don't like about Seed of Chucky now in 2023, almost 2024, I think the trans representation could have been done a little bit better.
Oh, for sure.
They could have made the trans representation not be made for laughs and done for jokes.
Yeah.
So I think they really rectified that in season 2 of the Chucky TV series. I think they did a lot better with their trans representation of who Glenn Glenda is. But again, in 1999, 2000, when that movie came out, it wasn't a hot button topic at the time. And
Absolutely.
and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I'm not saying trans rights are because it's a hot button. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, it wasn't this thing where it was so taboo,
Right.
back then. So, obviously, you guys know me. I'm all about everybody being who they are, being happy with who they are, and loving who you love.
Couldn't agree
But
more.
yeah, I just wish that the representation would have been done a little better in that. But
Yeah,
so I started.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, unfortunately, a lot of movies haven't aged well in that respect. With
Right.
When any kind of not trans representation or gay or bi representation in movies, often, and you watch it back and you're like, ew, that makes me
Yeah.
Yeah, a little.
So.
And it's funny because we grow and we mature and we realize we've made mistakes and we learn from them. And I think that, especially with Don Mancini in the Child's Play series, I really feel like that's what he did with Chucky season 2 was. And Don's always been an openly gay man, so I don't think he was being malicious with his trans representation. He just took a big swing and he missed.
Yeah.
He came back with Chucky season 2 and he really rectified what he did. He made it, much more respectful to the trans community, and good on him for that. He came out pretty much and said, you know what, I kind of fucked up a little bit. Let's make it better. Good for you. You learned from your mistakes. You didn't run from them. Great man. So I started with you, Jenny, but Nikki, I want to know, we're talking about Child's Play. We know that you were a very young lady the first time you had seen it, but what would you say, do you remember who you were with when you would watch it for the first time?
This is kind of dark. So my mom, I was #blessed with a mother who was an addict and did not keep tabs on me. So I wandered over to the neighbor's house one night, and they were watching Child's Play. It was like a young, like, bachelor pad. And these guys had Child's Play on TV, and I was over there and like glued to the TV. Like, what is this? And so that's how it was not with friends or family. It was just with some randos. So that's how my mom rolled.
Yeah. Well, I'm a recovering addict. So I'm sorry. I've been around it. Yeah. My kids have been around it. My kids haven't been around me. Thank God. The minute that Ashley got pregnant with our 15-year-old, she was like, look, it's either that or them. Yeah. And so pretty easy choice, but I'm really sorry that happened to you, but it started horror. As long as nothing else bad happened to you, that's it. Yeah. So, watching it with the neighbors. Now, when we talk about these two movies, they're both super iconic for different reasons, and we'll get more into those. But when we're talking about House on Haunted Hill, Jenny, do you remember which scene it was that affected you the most from this film?
Yes. I saw that when I was little too. I was only 6 years old when I watched it. and it was in school actually. Another kid wanted to watch it for Halloween, and the teacher was like, okay, is everybody okay watching this scary movie? And like, of course some kid's gonna be like, no, I'd rather do schoolwork. And so like we all were like, yeah, let's watch a movie. And the scene that got me, and it gave me nightmares, and it still gives me kind of an irrational fear of body parts being in boxes. It was Nora goes into like a room and she opens a box and there's just like a head in the box. And that was like the first time I had seen like gory makeup and body parts and then like a movie. Yeah. And still now, even if I go into like a hotel room and open an empty drawer, I'm scared there's going to be like an arm or something in there. But that was
it's a head in a box.
Sticks in my head.
Yeah.
Yes.
At school, yeah.
Would never happen today. That's like, it's just funny how the times have changed, because like even when you're watching this movie back, like it really is a creepy movie. And like the amount of times they're breaking the fourth wall and they're talking directly to you and things like that. And one of my favorite moments when you have the skeleton that's walking on its own, and you think that it's Vincent Price's skeleton that's walking towards her, and then she falls in the water. Like there's just so much about this movie that really still holds up, like practically and acting wise. Like you're watching it and you're just like, this is really good. This is a lot of fun to watch this movie. So I couldn't agree more. And I was really happy that I got the chance to go back and rewatch this in preparation for this episode, because I haven't watched it in a couple of years. And rewatching it, I'm just like, wow, they really, really did a great job on this movie. And there's a lot of very intimidating, scary moments in this movie, especially for the 50s. So, you know, we know which scene affected you the most, being the head in the box. But Nikki, what would you say the scene was from Child's Play that affected you the most?
I think the one that really comes to mind is when I don't remember her name, the mom, the character that plays the mom in the movie, she's like running in the bathroom away from Chucky. He's stabbing through the bathroom door with a knife, and she's just losing her mind. And that, again, because seeing an adult or a mom so terrified as a kid, it was like, oh my God, who's supposed to comfort me if you know, if a mom is that scared? So that's what did it for me, was that the knife coming through the bathroom door scene.
Yeah. And again, like when we're kids, especially, I've talked about this a couple times when we talk about Child's Play. If you're a kid watching Child's Play as compared to an adult watching Child's Play, it's a whole different ballgame.
Oh yeah.
Because as kids, you know, we love our Barbies, we loved our Thundercats, our WWF toys, you know, like those action figures were our life when we were kids. And then you get a movie where they're killer, you know.
Yeah.
And so you do the Toy Story thing where like you go to shut your door and you're like, oh.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think that, you know, watching Child's Play for the first time as kids, which a lot of us did in our generation, I think I'm a couple years older than you guys, but you know, when you have that type of thing, it really was intimidating to us, you know, and having, you know, all mechanical, all robotic doll, like they did with a lot of this, when they weren't using a human being, a little person, they were using animatronics, and it looks really good even today. Like the way that the Chucky doll in the original Child's Play looks is phenomenal. It looks really, really good. So, so we know which scene affected you guys the most. Now, with House on Haunted Hill, it got a remake back in the 90s. Now, were you a fan of the remake of House on Haunted Hill, or was it one that you kind of you wish they would have let a sleeping dog lie?
I actually never saw the remake. I couldn't do it. I loved the original. And we do have an episode of our podcast where we do talk about Vincent Price a lot. He was one of my surprise topics. I'm obsessed with him. I love the original. I was like, I don't even want to watch it. I don't want to watch it. And a lot of the remakes of Vincent Price movies, I don't really want to watch because I will really love the original.
The House on Haunted Hill remake, it really does do justice to the original in the fact that it doesn't just rip the original off and do it scene by scene. It really does make it its own film.
Well, you know, I did try watching it one time, and it just made me so nostalgic to watch the old one, and I ended up turning it off and putting on the old one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the, in my defense, though, I watched the remake before I had seen the original.
I did too.
I was like you were talking about #blessed. I was very blessed. My mom and dad owned a mom and pop video store growing up, so you know, it was Downtown Video was the name of our store, and I just pretty much grew up inside this video store, and so whenever new films were coming out, I was always gravitating to the horror section and what's out now, what can I take home, what can I watch, what can I go in the back room and watch, and I was just really, really lucky to have that childhood. And I had seen, like I said, the remake of House on Haunted Hill before I'd seen the original. Then I watched the original. I was like, both these movies are so fucking good.
Yeah.
So now we haven't had a remake of this since the 90s, and we know that Hollywood will beat a horse until it's beyond dead.
So true. Yeah.
So would you like to see them try to do that again today?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Say yes.
I don't think I could say yes to that either.
I liked the remake, okay, but again, like you, I saw that before the original, so I enjoyed it because I remember being a teen and being scared by it. But I don't know about a new one.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think they should just leave it alone. Some of the classics just need to be left alone. I think.
Well, I mean, they did The Haunting of Hill House. Did you watch that?
Yeah.
That was a lot of influence from.
It definitely was. Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. That was and Mike Flanagan's my favorite.
Oh, we love him.
A god.
So
I'm getting to meet him in March, so I'm super stoked for the chance to meet him. Like, yeah, I'm already nervous as hell.
Yeah, tell him the says hello.
So we talked about the remakes and the requels and such of House on Haunted Hill, but with Child's Play, obviously we did get the 2019 remake, which was definitely more of a reimagining of sorts, but Child's Play is a bigger franchise. So in the Child's Play franchise, which one would you say is your favorite of the bunch?
I liked The Bride of Chucky quite a bit.
That was a good
because again, Jennifer Tilly,
yes,
so great.
She's so awesome.
So I really enjoyed that one quite a bit. And then of course the original, just for nostalgic reasons. But yeah, I really liked Bride of Chucky.
See, I don't know. Like, I love the first one. I really, really like the second one. Part 3 will always be my favorite. And everybody else hates Part 3, but I love that movie like so much. I think Chucky has the best one-liners in that movie. It has 2 of the saddest deaths in the entire franchise in that movie. Chucky is still super evil. They have that carnival scene at the end. I'm enamored with that film. So,
Nice.
We talked about your guys' first horror movies and what they mean to you. But now I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball at you guys here for a second.
Okay.
I'm going to start with you, Nikki. Jenny, you're going to get to be a cheater, pumpkin eater and get to think about this question a little bit.
Right.
Nikki, you're going to have to answer right away. So we talked about your guys' first horror movie, but now my little buddy Ghostface is here, and he has a question for you.
Okay.
What's your favorite scary movie, Nikki? What is your favorite horror movie of all time?
Oh, boy. My favorite horror movie of all time. That's so hard. I really, 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 and I'm hoping you don't say the same thing because I know you love this too, but I really like The Shining. I know. I'm sorry. The Shining was, oh my God.
I got other ones I can
Stanley Kubrick, and of course I loved reading the book. I think I read the book in high school. Stephen King was one of my favorite authors. And so that one's always kind of got a soft spot in my heart. That is a really hard question, but I think that one's up there. And that's what I got off the cuff.
Did you watch Dr. Sleep, the sequel?
Yes.
I've said numerous times that is my favorite horror sequel of all time.
Really?
I think it's absolutely amazing.
It's great.
It's really
it's fantastic.
All right, I will let you ask her. Settle down. All right, well, we got to ask Nikki, so now he wants to ask you now. What's your favorite scary movie, Jenny? What is your favorite horror movie of all time?
Well, I probably would have said The Shining, but we've talked about this on the podcast numerous times that I am a very big fan of cheesy 80s slasher movies, and I have a soft spot for Freddy Krueger. I love Nightmare on Elm Street. That's probably my favorite. I love them all.
See, that's what I would have guessed before the other day when you said Shining. So, yeah.
I think that when you put in the budget, I think A Nightmare on Elm Street is probably the best horror movie of all time when it comes to how the movie was made. And I will honestly say, and again, I'm sorry for repeat viewers, you got to hear this again. If you take out that stupid blow up doll at the end and that ridiculously dumb fucking Freddy car, that is the perfect horror movie. If you take out that last 5 minutes, every kill is super impactful. And something else I've talked about that I just learned when I started doing Sledgehammer horror. Robert Englund is on screen in A Nightmare on Elm Street for less than 8 minutes.
Wow.
Freddy Krueger is on screen less than 8 minutes, and you never see him kill anybody. In Tina's dream, you see her getting dragged up the wall, but you don't see Freddy. Johnny Depp, you see him pulled in the waterbed. You don't see Freddy. The jail cell, you see Jesus Garcia be hanged, but you don't see Freddy because they didn't have the budget to do the makeup to make him look the same for every shot. That's why 90% of the time,
I've never noticed Freddy,
yeah, when you see Freddy in this movie, he's either really, really dark in the shadows,
right?
Or like you very rarely get close-ups on his face because they just didn't have the budget. And all the budget they had, they were using for the practical effects, whether it was the waterbed or Tina up the wall and a dumb fucking car at the end. But I think that like it really is like just an amazing, amazing tribute to what you can do on a budget if you're really dedicated to your craft. And
I think maybe that even made it a little creepier, not
right
much, and it's like your mind is like, ooh, I wonder what's behind that.
Yeah.
To me, it shows his power.
Yeah.
You know, you never see him, but that's how powerful he is. You know what he's doing. So I've had an amazing time with you guys talking about your first horror movies, your favorite horror movies. But before I let you go, we always end on the same question. And I'll start with you this time, Jenny. We're talking about House on Haunted Hill. And what we're going to do is rank this movie on a skull count. Now, we're not ranking it on acting, direction, production, score, nothing like that. We're not being critics. What we're doing here is ranking this movie on how much it affected you on your first viewing. So, Jenny, House on Haunted Hill, 0 skulls being not effective, 5 being extremely effective. You can use half and quarter skulls anywhere in the middle. Jenny, what would your ranking of House on Haunted Hill be?
The way it affected me, I've had a pretty big obsession with Vincent Price majority of my life, and it's because of seeing that movie. So I would say 4.5 skulls.
Nice.
That's very fair. And like I said, we might not be here had you not had seen that movie when you did. And same question for you, Nikki, on Child's Play. What would you rank Child's Play 0 to 5?
At the time, its impact on me, it was a solid 5. Solid 5.
See, and
I also need to tell you our measurement system on the Gory Hole podcast is bags of diarrhea. So I give it 5 out of 5 bags of diarrhea. There you go.
Hopefully not on a plane.
Yeah, good callback.
Well, see, and like for me, I don't remember my first comedy. I don't remember my first drama, my first rom-com. I remember House 1986.
Yes,
like I fucking remember that movie. Like it rocked me, and I wouldn't be the human being I am today had I not watched House. You know, I remember taking my wife out on our very first date, and then going home to her house and seeing the People Under the Stairs poster on her wall and going, wow, I'm going to marry her. Like, this is the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. And I have. You know, we went and seen, I took her out, we seen War of the Worlds, the Tom Cruise movie. We went back to her place. I saw that poster, and I told her mom, I was like, I'm probably going to marry your daughter. And she was like, ha, 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 ha. And now she's like, damn it, he fucking meant it. Like, it's been, I gave you 3 grandkids, Amy. You know I love you. So I know I said it at the beginning, guys, but we are at the end of the 3rd act. The credits are about to roll, and the curtain's about to drop. But before that happens, I had their amazingly disgusting, gory, and immature links right down in the description, guys. So make sure you're following them on social media. Make sure you're subscribing to the podcast so you can become a part of that family as well, because we all want to see their ranking of how many bags of diarrhea they get for their things. So, ladies, please don't go anywhere. I have a couple more questions for you.
Well, before we leave, we have a friend that would like to say hi to you.
Hey!
This is our friend Cold Ethel. She's a very big part of the podcast.
Yeah, she's our co-host. She is a high dollar rehomed sex doll.
We adopted a sex doll.
And
she's part of the podcast, and she's pretty much just as much of a part of it as we are.
Well, if she ever wants to come on and talk about her first horror movie, I'm sure she could give me a mouthful.
Perfect. You're right about that.
That's amazing. I absolutely adore that. So, yeah. Now I'm all discombobbled. Like, I'm like
she tends to do that to people.
We should have had her dress better.
I mean, look at her. She's looking at me with those big, beautiful eyes and that gaping mouth. Like, what am I supposed to do? So yeah, like I said, guys, please hang out. I got a couple more questions for you. Everybody else, as always, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It really helps our channel more than you know. And follow Sledgehammer Horror on social media. Our links are in the description as well. But until next time, keep talking horror. stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.